It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
So this is from Rena, and this is a great. She says, after you get to that point, how do we teach our kids to preserve that wealth? And will the same technique of save and invest and index work for our kids? As I tee this up to you, Brian, is there someone you can think about who has amassed a lot of wealth and potentially the advice he gives to other folks on how they should invest is maybe different than the way he did it? Maybe he's bought a textile company and invested in a bunch of individual stocks. But does he tell people to go out and do that, or does he give different advice?
You're talking about old Uncle Warren
Old
Buffett.
Uncle Warren.
Well, it is one of those things. I'm going to answer this because I know where you're getting at is that Uncle Warren, by the way, we will be doing the Berkshire Hathaway show coming up, so stay tuned. But he does tell people all the time when they ask him what investment he ought to go do, he does it. He tells them, look at the S&P 500. There's a lot of people that do that. But it is one of those things, if you're talking about your children and you want to make sure that they also are building those success habits, I got to tell you, this is the biggest fear I think successful people have who have children is, am I going to pass down good things, or is this going to be that horrible stat that we have used on the show multiple times, is that 70% of second-generation wealth evaporates. It's gone. It's gone. And then 90% by the third generation. So that's how the cycle keeps replenishing itself. So that way you can have 77 to 80% of millionaires are first generation. That means there's got to be a sad side of that stat. That there's a lot of people that are squandering the opportunity. And I'll tell you what I've done in my own household is I practice, just like I built success through what I call forced scarcity, meaning that every time I got a pay raise, I would take a little bit more of that additional income going towards savings so that all of it didn't get put into lifestyle. I think you have to do the same thing with your kids. I practice forced scarcity. My daughter, I did the whole Dave Ramsey thing where she, on her first car, she paid for half of it.
Love it.
Now, it's not as fancy. It didn't, and what tore my heart, it doesn't even have all the safety precautions that some of the brand new cars have. But I felt like the life skill of learning, I can't have the best of everything right off of the get-go, was a great teachable moment. And we've tried to do that with other things. So I think you do have to create elements so that your kids are probably growing up in abundance more so than what you had. Focus that abundance on memories, on opportunities, not on things, because the things are what I think could really screw up the hedonic treadmill and get people too comfortable too soon. And then you've really set them up to what do they accomplish? How do they create that fulfillment in their life if you've already done everything for them? So you have to be very careful with that when you're passing it down to the kids.
And another thing to think about is if you have young children and you're rearing them, studies have come out that says that it's easier when you're raising young children to tell them no, they can't have something or no, they can't experience something when you can't afford it. It's a much more difficult thing when you can afford it and you still choose to say no. But that is an incredibly valuable lesson. I recognize all the time that the life that my kids are growing up with is very different than the life that I grew up with. But just because I can do certain things for them doesn't mean that I should. This is so silly. My girls, they love lemonade. It's their favorite drink in the whole world. We could probably let them drink lemonade every time we went out to eat if we chose it, but I still make them get water because that's just kind of the thing. That's what we do. Even when this will break your heart. Sometimes, even when the kids' meal drink is free, I make them drink water too.
Wow. That is practicing some forced scarcity.
I want them to know that it's like a treat. It's something special. And,
I would twitch a little bit because you're leaving something on the table that's free, but it is definitely... got to be very deliberate in making sure you are putting this in the kids. Have open communication. Practice what you preach by showing some of these things in their life, and I think they'll be better for it.